Hey guys, how's it going? So I got to play For Honor at E3 2016, and I'm here today to pretty much give my impressions on the game. Alright, so when I was first playing this game, the thing that was immediately apparent to me was the fact that this is a gorgeous game. I mean, I have to say that the graphics were just really good. Like the lighting, the animations, just the world building and how it behaved. This is like one of the very few, or I should say one of the handful really, of current gen games that really does look to kind of push graphics forward in a good direction. It reminded me a little bit of Rise Son of Rome. Just slightly cut back in a few areas. The character models don't look as good, but it does truly look really good. And I was playing on PlayStation 4, so you can only imagine what the PC version is going to look like if Ubisoft doesn't downgrade it. Alright, but let's talk about the game. Alright, now there is a campaign, there is a multiplayer. Last year they showed us the multiplayer gameplay, and this year they decided to show us the campaign. And I got to play a little bit of the campaign, about 15-20 minutes of the campaign. And it's very story driven. You know, it's you have a character here, and I guess what they're gonna do is you're gonna have different characters that are in different factions. Now keep in mind, this is medieval times, so you'll be playing as the barbarians. You have the samurais in there, and there's different factions that all have their different stories. And my understanding is that you're gonna have 4 different characters in these 4 different factions. You're sort of going through the motions of what it's like to be a ranking soldier, a ranking officer, fight in these brutal wars, protect your home basically, and fight off the invaders, as well as invade and start wars and things like that. You do have a main antagonist of the game who is kind of controlling everything in the background, and I can only imagine from a story perspective that it's gonna be a very it's not gonna be a happy ending. There's gonna be a lot of bloodshed here. Keep in mind, they're trying to go with the times here, and there was no forgiveness back then. Those times were very brutal, and so I only can imagine that the end result of the story here is gonna be very brutal. But I did like what I saw thus far. I was really going into it thinking that it was gonna be a much more tactical version of Dark Souls. And you're going to go in here and you're going to have that sort of combat in here, but it was going to be more strategic, more tactical, where you actually had to think and plan your next move and block moves perfectly in order to progress. I thought it was actually going to be pretty challenging. This game is extremely easy, and it's very slow paced, and I think this is what's going to kill it for a lot of people, because a lot of people, you know, are going to go in there and they might have the same mindset as I did, you know, and like, oh, this is going to be a really tactical Dark Souls without the monsters and the fantasy, but, you know, you have that same type of combat in there, a little bit arcadey, but you have to think about your next move, and there's combos and all this stuff. No, this is actually not that type of game. And to be honest, in my entire 15 to 20 minute demo that I played of this game, I didn't die once, and I probably got hit about 2 or 3 times. And there was a final boss at the end of this level too. And I was like, I'm playing this, I'm just like, this is incredibly easy. And I thought it was just me, right? So I mentioned it, I met with, after I played the demo, I met up with Robbie and Ryan from Open World Games, and I mentioned that I had played it, and they basically said, did you think it was easy? I thought it was incredibly easy. And we both had that same understanding. It's a really interesting and kind of a cool game to watch, but playing it, it's just very slow paced. Oftentimes, you're gonna be sitting here with your controller, and you're gonna be sitting here doing this, waiting, because you're trying to parry your opponent's move, right? And essentially, all you do is you have 3 different versions of stances. Alright, you can do a low attack, a mid attack, and a high attack, and you have heavy and light attacks to go along with those stances. And in order to parry, all you have to do is match the stance of your opponent. So the whole time you're looking at your opponent, and they have their sword up here, and so you're like, alright, I know they're going to attack from above. So you put your stance up to match theirs, and that's pretty much, to be honest, all you do. I think the game even blocks the move for you as long as you're at the correct stance of your enemy, of your opponent. And the game tries to switch it up and go fast paced, like, I'm up here now, I'm gonna go down here and hurry up and attack you, but it's still incredibly easy to deflect, and the controls are very responsive. And most of the time, you're just basically going to be end up waiting around in combat, waiting for your enemy to finally hit you, match their stance, parry them, and go back and strike them again. It was very slow paced and it was very easy. And I think this is what's going to hurt the game in the end, unfortunately. Now, they do have a playable alpha you can sign up for, and I did sign up for that. So, if you guys get in and you have your chance to play the game, you'll see what I mean. Because this really surprised me. I thought it was going to be a little bit more fast-paced. I thought I had to like defend against two different enemies. They threw like two different enemies at me, during the campaign. But again, it was very easy because you use your left stick, you flick it in a direction to change your lock on to a different enemy, and then you match their stance. And as long as you have both enemies in view, it's very easy to switch back and then block and then switch back and block. And there's even a dodge move in which your character rolls, and so you can potentially just focus on one enemy the whole time, dodge the other guy's attacks, and just kill one guy, and then move on to the next guy and kill the other guy. Now, these encounters are only for higher up officers, people who match your rank or exceed your rank, and the rest are just pretty much grunts, and these guys are pretty fearful of you. And you'll be like walking up towards them, and if they're enemies, they're kind of like backing away like this, and I like the atmosphere it brings with that. You sort of feel like you're a powerful force, that you are feared, and that the AI like kind of pays attention to what you're doing out in the battlefield, and it's like, oh, I don't want to mess with that guy, right? So it gives you that feeling. That really cool feeling of being a soldier in war and being a badass and just essentially being a ruthless killer. But the thing is that these enemies are so easy to kill. Now, they can hit you, but they barely do any damage, and these guys can't block any of your moves. So you walk up to him, you run up to him, you mash the X or square button, your character slashes, one hit and they're dead, one hit and they're dead, one hit and they're dead, and so you'll walk into like a group of like 6 of these guys, and you'll kill them within seconds because they can't deflect your move, and when they try to hit you, they barely do damage to you at all. So I want to think that there's going to be a difficulty level in the game, and if this is how the game plays on the normal average difficulty level, then I'm going to pump this up to probably the highest difficulty setting, if not the second to highest, because the overall experience here that I played was surprisingly slow-paced and very, very simple. It's very, very easy. This is very much a casual game. Do not think that it's going to take any skill to pick up this game and start playing it, and you're going to have to like learn real intricate combos and really outsmart your enemies. It's not like that at all, and that's what really surprised me. It's pretty much zero tactical or strategic thought put into the combat, and essentially you just looking at your enemy, matching their stance, alright, parry, attack a few times, match their stance again, parry, attack a few times, rinse, wash, and repeat. That is For Honor. So I was looking forward to this game a little bit. I really was. I was intrigued by it. I can't really say that it was an anticipated game of mine, but I was intrigued by it. But playing this demo, I kind of fell, my intrigue with it kind of fell. And right now it's a game that I wouldn't mind playing, but I'm not necessarily looking forward to. And who knows, maybe when the alpha comes out, they'll fix it and it'll be a much more tactical game, or it'll be much more difficult, and they'll have this sense of, okay, I gotta react fast, I gotta really outsmart my enemies. But I didn't die once, and I got hit a handful of times. I'm not kidding, but probably 3 times I got hit in my E3 demo, and I was fighting the boss at the end. The guy missed every single hit. I think he hit me once, but the guy missed every single hit after that. So easy. And so I'm really hoping that the story of this game actually, instead of it just being a way for you to say, okay, we're going to go into this direction with the story, okay, new character, a new faction, and new location and everything like that. Instead of it just moving you to different locations, I hope that it has some intrigue to it and some thought put into it, because ultimately that's the only saving grace for this game if it's really gonna release and be this simplified and be this easy. So with that being said, For Honor is very easy and very slow paced, and I think this surprised me, and it's probably going to surprise a lot of you guys. There's zero strategy put into the combat at all. You can literally play this game with one hand. I could probably pick up my phone, text someone, and play this game with one hand, and probably get hit maybe once, if I really try to let my guard down. It's super simple. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions about For Honor. Just leave them in the comments, and I'll try and answer them if you guys want to know anything specific. And overall, For Honor, just eh. It's very pretty though. It's very pretty. So looking at this game being played is enjoyable because of how great its art direction and graphics are. The lighting is amazing. Great tessellation, reflections off the armor. It looks really good. And I was playing on PS4, and the frame rate was buttery smooth. Consoles, it was 30 frames per second, but the controls felt really solid, and the game looked gorgeous, and it was consistent. So from a technical perspective, yes. From a gameplay perspective, we'll see. Hopefully the story lives up and actually does provide something interesting to the game, and who knows, they have quite a while until the game releases. Maybe they'll change up some combat encounters, make it more strategic, and really force you to outsmart your enemies rather than sit there and waiting for them to attack while you basically repeat the same flow of different things. Again, parry, attack, parry, attack. That's pretty much the whole combat system. So alright guys, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you later.